Hi everyone, welcome to the third section of this video. In the first section, we've looked at what a container is. We've looked at the container image, we've looked at the registry, we've looked at the format of an image, we've looked at namespace, seccomp, we've looked at SE Linux, how you can use SE Linux, how container leverage on SE Linux as one of the key components of the operating system to work with. Alright, so in this video we're going to look at the step-by-step guide of how to create a basic container in Linux. Alright, and we're going to be looking at this question, which says that create an Apache web server container with the latest tag from registry.redat.io/rel/httpd-24 named techr and should be accessible on port 8080. Alright, and the question further says the service running on the container should be persistent, and on the host create a file /techlink/html/index.html and attach it to the container as bar.www. Alright, and quick one, if you're going to be writing the RHCSA 8 exam, you should come to this website. Alright, so you can either scroll down and click on the 8 exam practice questions, or here on the website you can click here to get to the page where you can see the exam practice questions. So we have enough questions, over 100 questions, and we're going to be solving it bit by bit, so it's better you do a lot of practice before you write the exam. It's going to help you a lot. Alright, and I'm going to be dropping the link to this website in the description section below so you can easily navigate through. So let's solve this question. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to install the module that contains the container utilities, and to do that we're going to use the command yum module install container tools. Okay, so I already have the container tools module installed on the system, so it should tell me that it is complete and there is nothing to do. You can see that there is nothing to do because the module has already been installed on the system. Alright, so after installing the container tools module, we need to log into the registry so that we can get the image from the registry. I would like to create the container as the user Victor. You can see now that I'm logged in as Victor. Alright, so to log into the registry, just like we've said in the previous video, we're going to use the command podman login and followed by the name of the registry, which is registry.redat.io. okay, so it's prompted us for the username. We need to put in the username. Okay, alright, and the password as well. So we can see that we've been able to authenticate successfully. Alright, in the previous video too, we talked about how you can register, how you can get credentials to this registry. Alright, so if you need to get credentials to this registry, and if you have not checked that video, you need to check that video so you can you can register with Red Hat. Okay, I showed you the links to click on so that you can get the registration done. Alright, so now that we've been able to log into the registry successfully, we need to download the image. But before we download the image, it's going to be a good idea for us to even inspect the image that we want to download, and to do that we can use the scopio command. So I'm just going to say scopio inspect docker followed by the registry followed by the image, which is httpd-24. so it's pretty large, so I'm going to pipe this to more. You can see the different image tags that we have. You can see the 1-112 tag, you can see the 1-118 tag. Alright, if you scroll down, you can see the latest tag. Alright, so you can see the different image tags that we have, just as I've mentioned in the previous video that after the image, then you can specify the image tag. If you don't specify the image tag, like I said, it will automatically take the latest tag. Okay, so the question says that we should create an image from this registry with the latest tag. All right, so the next thing we need to do is to download the image since we've done the inspection. So to download the image, I can use the command. Let me just clear the screen. I can say podman pull from the registry, which is this registry.redhat.io followed by the image. Alright, so I can either put the latest tag or I just remove this. Okay, so I'm doing the same thing because I've told you that if you don't add the latest here, or if you don't add any tag there, it's going to get you the latest tag. Okay, so if I wish, I can put the latest, and if I wish, I can put the latest. So since the question did not give us any specific tag to use, the question just says we should use the latest tag. So we can do this and we can remove it, because if we remove this, it's going to also give us the latest tag. Okay, so let's just add it, and I'm going to pull the image. You can see now that it's trying to download the image from this registry. Alright, it's copying the blobs right now. Alright, the image is done downloading. So the next thing we need to do is to prepare the storage that we're going to attach to the container. And the question says, according to the question, it says that create a file called /technique/html/index.html and attach it to the container as var www. So let's prepare the storage by creating that directory. I'm just going to make this as parent on technique html. Alright, so let's put a file in index.html. So I can just put anything here. This is a test. I'm going to redirect this to technique html. I'm going to call this index.html according to the question. Okay, so now that we've been able to create this directory, we need to make sure that the others have the read permission on the file and on the directory. So let's check for the file first. I'm going to do this on the file, on the directory rather. So you can see that the directory has the read permission, and of course it also has the execute permission. So let's do this same thing on the file, and let's see if it has the read permission. So this is going to be index.html. So you can see that the file too has the read permission. So that's great. That's what we want. So the next thing we need to do is to create the container. Okay, and to create the container, we can create it in a detached form, or we can call for an interactive shell while creating the container. When you look at the question didn't say we should create an interactive container. Neither did the question say that we should create a detached container. But the thing is, if I create an interactive container, which is by using this command, I'm going to specify the -it option. Okay, so for example, I'm going to use the command podman run. This is the name of the container. Alright, so there's a typo here. I'm supposed to give the option -it, which means I'm called for an interactive shell, and I'm going to specify the type of shell I want, which is /bin/bash. Alright, but the problem here is if I create the container this way, if I exit out of the container will stop. Okay, so because while creating the container, I'm creating the container and I'm asking for an interactive shell. So the thing we can do is to, or the best option we can make in this scenario is to create the container without an interactive shell. So we're going to be creating a detached container, which we're going to be using the -d option, which means detach. So I'm saying detach this image, and if I need to interact with the container for whatsoever reason, I can then use this command to call for an interactive shell. Okay, so I can then do -it. So if I call for an interactive shell this way and I exit out of the container will not stop because I started the container using a detached command. I didn't call for an interactive shell. Okay, so in this example, we're going to create the container with the detached option. And while creating our container, we're also going to use the -v option, which means volume mount. Alright, you remember that we created this directory. So this is the directory we're going to be attaching to the container as var www, yeah, but not HTML in this case. Alright, so we also need to add the column capital Z option, which means that we need to set the directory type context to the right SLinux type context, which is this. Alright, so we also need to specify this option. You need to put this while creating the container. And for the port aspect, alright, so we're going to be forwarding the port from the host, which is 8080. In this case, in our example, we're going to be forwarding the port to 8080 as well. Okay, before we create the container, let me mention this as well, because in the question we were not asked to create an environment variable, but if you're asked to create an environment variable, you need to add the -e option. You need to add the variable with the value. So if you're asked to create more than one variables, you also need to add -e option and then add that environment variable and the values as well. So to create the container, we're going to use podman. Alright, we're going to say run. I want to detach the container, which is the -d option, and I'm going to say, okay, I want to name this container tech-har. Don't forget that in the previous video we mentioned that if you don't give a container a name, it's going to give it a random name. Alright, so this is -p, which is the port option. So I'm saying forward port 8080 on the container host to 8080 on the container, and this is the v, which means volume option. So I'm going to be attaching this directory. Alright, technid. Alright, so I'm going to be attaching it to the container as var www. Okay, and I'm going to add the Z option for SLinux as well. Then the last thing I'm going to put here is going to be the registry followed by the image. So this is going to be registry.redhat.io followed by rel 8 httpd-24. Okay, and this is going to be latest. So you can see that the container has been created, and this is very fast because we already downloaded the container first. Okay, and that's why we're able to create the container very fast. If you did not download the container first and you just run this command, the command will need to go and download the container first before it creates the container. Alright, so now that we've created the container, we need to verify if the container has been created, and to do that we can use the command podman ps. So you can see the name of the container, which is tech-har. It's been created. So most times I usually run this command 2 to 3 times, because if you do not create your container very well, like if there's an error, the container might start and it might stop later. So let's confirm again. So you can see that the container did not stop. So in an advent where you create a container and the container stops, you need to check the log and see the reasons why the container has stopped. So in the previous video, just check that documentation. Just like I've been showing you, you would see how you can check for the logs of the container. So for example, to check for the logs of the container, you can just do podman logs. Then this is going to be tech_r, which is the name of the container. So you can reference the container by the name of the container or the ID of the container. This is the container ID. Alright, so if I do this, it's going to get me the logs of the container. Excuse me. Alright, so this is how you can trace and see what might go wrong with your container. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is to verify that we can access the storage that is attached to the container over port 8080. Okay, don't forget that we forwarded that port to the container, and to do that, I'm just going to use the command call, and I'm going to say on localhost I want to see this, so you can see that our container was well created. So this is the same content we have on the storage, and we can also access this on the container over port 8080. So the thing is, if we reboot our system this way, our container will not start across reboot. So everything that we have done, the container that we have created would go, and that's because we didn't make it persistent. Alright, so to make this persistent, we need to go through some steps. First of all, we need to create a systemd directory where we would generate the user's unit file. So in all essence, we need to configure this container as a systemd service. Alright, so if you can configure this container as a systemd service, then this container service would start across reboot. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is let's create a systemd directory where the user's unit files will be generated. And to do that, we're going to use the command make directory. Alright, so these are the steps I've also shown to you in the understanding the subject matter section. You can see how to make a container persistent in Linux. So you need to create this directory, and you need to generate the unit file in this directory, after which you would need to enable the linger feature. Alright, and then you can start and enable the container as a service. So that's what we're going to do right now. So this is going to be make directory here, which is going to be .config systemd, alright, followed by user, and we need to generate the user's unit file in this directory. So I will need to change directory here so that I can be able to generate the user's unit file in this directory. So this is going to be systemd user. Alright, so now that I'm here, I'm going to use the podman generate command to do that. That's to generate the user's unit file. So this is going to be podman generate systemd, followed by the name of the container, which is tech_r. Alright, then I'm saying I want you to generate the files here. Okay, so I can confirm if the file has been generated. So you can see that the file has been generated, which is container -tech_r.service. Alright, and the next thing we need to do is to enable the linger option for this user, and to do that, I'm going to use the command loginctl enable linger. Okay, so you can see that the option has been enabled, but I can verify that. So to verify that, let me just do loginctl. I can say show user Victor. Alright, so you can see the linger option. You can see that it's been enabled for this user Victor. Alright, so now that we've been able to do this, we need to start and enable the container as a service. But before we do that, let's stop the container. Alright, so you can see that the container is running. So let's stop this container. So I'm going to do podman stop tech_r. Okay, so I'm sure that the container, of course, is also archived. So we're going to remove it from the archived file as well. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to do podman remove take R. Alright, so let me confirm that as well. So you can see that the container is not started and the container is not archived as well. Alright, so now we can now start and enable the container as a service. So to do that, I'm just going to do system ctl -- user daemon reload. Okay, and I'm going to enable, just as you would enable a normal service, a normal system-based service. So I'm going to do system ctl -- user enable now container -take hour.service. Alright, so you can see that it has created a symbolic link. Alright, so that's the way a normal enabled service would do. Now we can verify if the container is running. So if I do podman ps, you can see that the container is running, and I can also verify the storage as well. So if I do call on the local host, you can see that I can access the storage over the port 8080. Alright, so if I reboot the system now, the container, the service, the Apache service is going to be started. The container will start across reboot. Okay, so this is how you can work. You can create a container, stop. We've looked at how to stop, remove a container from archived file, make a container persistent across reboot. Alright, so thank you for watching, and please subscribe to this channel. Bye for now.